Today we're going to be sharing our cold process soap DIY, and you'll be able to learn how to make your own beautiful honey bars. Honey is a fantastic ingredient for our skin, and it's a great addition to your soaps. There are a few things that are a little bit different when using honey in soap, but don't worry because I'll make sure that we cover them as we go through the video together. So I'm just mixing my lye solution first, and I'm going to just set this off to one side and just allow it to cool right down. Now, if we've not met before, hello, I'm Sarah from Soap School. It's lovely to have you with us today. At Soap School, we help aspiring entrepreneurs to start their own soap and cosmetics business. But it's not just about making a business. Soap making really should be available to everybody to enjoy. And that's why we're sharing these videos with you. Now, it doesn't matter what kind of honey you use. It can be a runny honey or even a honey that's begun to crystallize. Honey is certainly not just for eating, and it's been used for centuries for its beauty properties. It's got natural antibacterial and antiseptic properties. So I'm going to add my olive oil now. Now, as well as honey being perfect for something like soap, it's also great for other cosmetics too. And if you stick around till the end, I'll share a really lovely but simple recipe for you to make a nice honey facial mask. Now, I do like to add my honey into the warmed oils, but it needs a really good mix before we add the lye into it. Now, one question that we get asked a lot is, will my soap smell of honey? Generally, it doesn't add a massively strong scent to it on its own, and that's why a lot of people do tend to use a fragrance oil as well. So let's give this a little bit of a blast and take it just to a light trace. You can see how much it's changing colour as it reacts with those natural sugars. Now, one big factor when making honey soap is that it does create more internal heat during the saponification, and this builds up a lot of heat that can literally force this into volcano out of the mold if it's allowed to get too hot. So I'm going to add in a lemon scented essential oil. You could use lemon, or you could use something like May Chang. So we mentioned that honey soaps generate a lot of heat. So if I were to pour this into something like a loaf mold, it really is going to get very, very hot, especially in the center, and it can literally force the soap out of the mold. And there are a few things that we can do to mitigate that. One of them is what we're doing right now. We're going to be using small individual molds, and by using individual bar molds, it's going to generate less heat and we're not going to have as many problems. Well, it smells absolutely beautiful. Just fill up your individual cavities. Probably going to have too much. I think we'll make a separate bar. So we chose to go with a honey themed bar. You absolutely don't need to. And here you can see with the excess, we're going to make a couple of really lovely plain bars in an oval shape. And there really are some beautiful honey themed bars available on the market today, different designs. Now, this was only a ½ kilo batch, so that's just over £1. And look how many different bars we've been able to make from that one batch. Sometimes you don't need to make huge amounts of soap. You want to be able to try out different recipes and really hero some of those beautiful ingredients that you have in your home, or that you're growing or harvesting if you've got your own bees. I think these are going to look absolutely beautiful. They're going to be a gorgeous shape with that bee motif and that honeycomb, and it's going to be the perfect size to fit into the palm too. Using any kind of single bar is not only going to make it look really, really fabulous, but it's a really good way to control some of that heat. Don't over insulate it if you are going to be doing it in a loaf mold. And some people do place their soap molds into a chiller or even a freezer to stop the soap from overheating. We'll be taking these out of the molds tomorrow once they've set up. But in the meantime, I promised you a face mask recipe. This is something that you can make at home in minutes. So I literally just take a tablespoon of natural yogurt, 1 teaspoon of honey, and half a teaspoon of powdered turmeric, and just literally mix all of them together in a small bowl or in the bottom of a cup, and then literally apply it to damp skin. Now I find that it gives me a lovely, clear and radiant skin. Well, they smell absolutely beautiful. Let's turn them out and have a look at what they actually look like. Whenever I'm using individual bars, I like to flex the sides first and then just push up underneath the bars just to loosen them. Oh wow, that is absolutely beautiful. If all of these look as good as that, I'm going to be one very happy lady. Oops, nearly dropped it. Let's pop all of that. These are just unmolding so easily. These particular molds are quite standard. I think I bought them either on AliExpress or from Amazon. So they're just a standard mold. They were nothing super expensive, so quite easy to get hold of. But there are lots of other designs too. Now I haven't refrigerated these. Sometimes when you've got more intricate patterns, you might want to chill them right down by popping them into the freezer and just blasting them that little bit. But honestly, this recipe is not that soft. It's quite firm, and I just didn't need to do that. There has been a tiny little bit left behind on the bumblebee there, and a couple of little areas, but you really don't notice it that much on the bar itself at all, so I'm not worried about that. And again, they're just a really lovely colour. So if you've never made a honey soap before, I hope that this has given you a few pointers in how to use honey in your own soaps. Think about how you can keep that soap that little bit cooler, and know that the hotter that the mix gets, the darker that the colour is going to be. These are fairly pale because we've been able to keep them nice and cool. But if we'd done them in a loaf mould, they'd be much, much darker caramel in colour. Thank you so much for being with us. I can't wait to see you again with us really, really soon. Bye-bye for now.